So Kaylee and I have had a couple days off without my children. They decided to stay at mom's this week, so we've had a lot of time to watch a lot of stuff, and we are on a found footage kick. And so we've watched a lot of them, and we still have tomorrow off and all of tonight, so we're probably going to watch a whole lot more. But we're going to first start here at the end with The Bay, which will be the freshest in your mind. First question, did this movie make you thirsty?
No. It made me the opposite of thirsty. I never want to drink water or be near water or look at water ever again.
Yeah. What did you think of the movie?
I thought it was creepy. I thought, stop! I thought that it was a very realistic mockumentary type of film, and I was really creeped out. A lot of the effects in here I think are really amazing. They look very realistic to me, and I just thought that the concept was great, and it's just, I don't know, it's one of those ones that really gets in you, you know?
So obviously this is an ecological horror mockumentary style found footage, because this is found footage, right? This is years after the fact, and the footage is kind of being recovered and put out there. Some of it is from a journalist. So what this movie is about is this place, Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, and it has a 4th of July party, parade kind of thing going on. Everyone's having a great time. This small town of about 6,000 some odd people. And an outbreak of some unknown origin breaks out, and the town is overrun with people dying horrendously, being eaten from the outside in to the inside out. It's coming in from both directions. The hospitals are overrun. The police department can't handle it. Nobody knows what's going on. There's panic and terror in everybody. It's a nightmare. I mean, it is like what all of us would fear the most is just some, outbreak of some unknown origin that is fast moving, painful, and incurable, right?
It's just the worst.
It's like all the combinations of what us humans fear, and this might be somewhat to the extreme, made a little bit more convenient and extreme for the purposes of the film. Like, why would everyone get sick in the same day? Why would it all break out in the same hour? Why would everyone who's at this crab eating contest, why would they all get sick at the same time? Like, this stuff's been in the water, right? So the water in Chesapeake Bay is being poisoned by chicken shit mostly, and the chicken shit is filled with steroids because they're trying to grow these chickens faster. I have reviewed this movie on the channel before, and that was my second watching. This was my third watching, and easily my favorite watch of the three. I was not a big fan of it the first time. I thought it was fine the second time, and I thought it was great this time. So I'm not really sure what was my hold up on this one, or what made me not care for it as much as I should, but it's definitely one of the best mockumentaries that they've made. This is, of course, should be no surprise, since Barry Levinson is who directed this, and that guy has so many titles to name off the top of my head. I wouldn't even know where to start, but I think Rain Man would probably be his most famous movie he ever made. But if you look through that guy's filmography, he's made a ton of stuff. So it's a very effective film. Yes. Of course, it plays on our fears of pollutants and government cover-ups and disease. I mean,
it's awful. It's definitely it makes you feel really helpless, because in found footage and other types of film, you always put yourself into the character's shoes and imagine what you would do in that situation, and there's just there's nothing. You can have the best plan possible as far as a survival instinct might go, but it just doesn't. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Shoot yourself as fast as you can.
Yeah, suicide.
That's your best bet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is.
It's terrifying.
You know. So yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it, you'll have to rent this one. It is not available streaming anywhere other than VOD. So this is a rent, but it's a high recommendation.
Yes.
And I guess it's a little lesser known. I think a lot of people people like found footage mockumentary fans. It's fairly well known in that group, but I think of people who aren't into those. I think if you can tolerate the mockumentary style, and this seems like something that would interest you, kind of an outbreak film. It's very, very realistic. I should say, the fear feels authentic.
Yeah.
The town feels authentic.
Yeah.
So, and then something like this happening where a bunch of people die and there's kind of a cover up in this, that all feels very believable as well. But the rate in which these do kind of it feels like a monster movie, right? Like,
oh, sure.
It's accelerated. It's probably exaggerated, I hope. So it doesn't feel overly believable because of the acceleration of things and whatever. But man, that doesn't stop it from being terrifying and playing with your mind, because your mind isn't logical when it's afraid.
Right.
And it's like watching this, you're like, oh my God, should I just never take a bath again, and should I never drink water again?
It's very visceral, and I think that even if as you were saying, some of it might have been dramatized for the purposes of the plot, I think that because everybody's reactions and the way it's shot feels very believable to how you would respond if something so remarkable happened. But it is very visceral. Like, it definitely had me kind of cringing because certain scenes were, it's weird. I think that they would be uncomfortable for some people because it's not quite body horror, but it sort of is.
Oh, sure it is.
Where it's things that you can't control inside your body, and I hate that.
Absolutely body horror. And the film is fairly graphic. I mean, there's some really intense gore going on in this film, just depicting like what's happening to these people as they're being eaten from the inside out, and whether it's through their face or whatever. There's some really graphic stuff in here. And last thing I'd say on that is I think Jaws does something where it makes you afraid to go into the water, right? As this movie makes you afraid to put the water in you, right? Which you can't avoid, right? Can't. Like, if you're afraid of sharks, you can just stay out of the water. Sure. But if you're afraid of water, you can't keep it out of your body. Yeah. You absolutely need it to live. So if the water gets poisoned, you're screwed. I mean, that's all there is to it. Yeah.
It's definitely also, if you have like germophobia, like if you're afraid of like a contagion outbreak movie like this is like, it definitely makes me a little paranoid, and but it's good. I mean, that's definitely what the intent is, and but yeah, as you said, a big recommendation.
Definitely. So let us know if you watch it. Bye. Moving on.